And this morning, a final farewell to the Queen. The state funeral for Queen Elizabeth II underway right now at Westminster Abbey. Eyewitness News anchor Jim Donovan joining us live this morning from London, just outside of the Abbey. Good morning once again to you, Jim.
Good morning, Janelle. Yes, 10 days of mourning come to an end today as Queen Elizabeth II is memorialized behind me at Westminster Abbey behind me. The service began at 11 o'clock right on the nose inside Westminster Abbey. 2,000 invited guests, including dignitaries and political leaders from across the globe. A short time ago inside the Abbey at the funeral of Elizabeth II, the Archbishop of Canterbury said few leaders received the outpouring of love we have seen for the late monarch. The coffin arrived here at the Abbey at just a few moments before 11 o'clock. It began its journey from Westminster Hall after sitting in state for 4 days there. Hundreds of thousands of people passed by that coffin to pay their respects over the past few days. Then the coffin was transported by a gun carriage that was carried by sailors from the hall, Westminster Hall, over to Westminster Abbey. Along that procession were King Charles III and his sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. So again, right now inside the Abbey, the memorial service, the funeral service for Queen Elizabeth II. When the service wraps up in less than an hour from now, there will be a 2-minute period of silence, which all air flights over London will be paused. The coffin then will be transported to Windsor via Buckingham Palace. They'll pass by the palace, and along that route, hundreds of thousands of people have lined up. Some places they're 15 people deep in order to pay their respects and see the coffin as it goes by. It will eventually end up at Windsor Castle at St. George's Chapel, which is inside the castle complex, where there'll be a private service for the family. And then Queen Elizabeth II will be laid to rest next to her husband, Prince Philip, who passed away last year. But out here, it's very eerily quiet right now here on the broadcast booth. Initially, when the coffin was passing behind us, you could hear the bagpipes and the band playing in the background, and it was kind of like a moment of silence even here on the broadcast booth as we all looked over and watched. I mean, this historic event that none of us will ever see again in our lifetimes. Back to you, Janelle and Natasha in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. And we were hearing the choir singing inside of the Abbey there. The Queen was very involved in the planning of all of the events that have been unfolding over these last few days, including some of those musical selections that we heard. And I also just saw that Buckingham Palace put out a note saying that the wreath of flowers on her coffin this morning were picked from the various gardens of the royal residences there. So a lot of significance in today's ceremony as well.
Exactly. Even earlier today, 96 minutes before the ceremony began, the bells at Westminster Abbey began tolling. One bell toll each minute for 96 minutes, so that's the age of Queen Elizabeth when she passed, 96 years old. So there's significance in every different layer of this, even the fact that Princes Harry and William walked behind the coffin. That was at Her Majesty's specific request when the planning was made for this funeral service.
All right, Jim, good to have you there in London this morning. Thank you for that. 6:37 now. Meanwhile, the British community in Philadelphia, they're also mourning the loss of the Queen. Yesterday afternoon, they gathered at St. Clement's Church to hold a service of thanksgiving for Queen Elizabeth in honor of the UK's last National Day of Mourning. English songs echoed throughout the church as British immigrants, liaisons, and leaders filled the pews there. And today with Eyewitness News and CBS News for today's continuing coverage of Queen Elizabeth II's funeral.